I told you your greatest achievement is actually your greatest obstacle and is preventing you from living the life you're meant to live. Welcome to Namaste Club, exploring how you must dismantle your celebrated public image in order to actually live a life of abundance. And you had to destroy your old self in order to build something new, a new persona. So we're going to talk a lot about persona building. Yeah, the birds here are squirking out loud. Building out a new persona, something that had to crumble and destroy itself in order for you to actually build something new. You finally became someone, right? You finally became someone and you're like, oh my God, I studied for this. I went to school for this. I spent some money for this. I got a diploma, right? I spent years, I spent long nights, hard work, right? And then now you're telling me I need to destroy all of that work? Hell, I got fired, man. I got fired from a 9-to-5 that was not suited for me anymore. And I went through this thing as well. And that's why I'm sharing this video with you guys, because it has to do a lot with building a new persona, building something that is sustainable and is more aligned to your soul. And that is actually how you're going to attain and you're going to attract more abundance that is more aligned on a soulful level and not from a 3D matrix level. So we're going to dig deep a little bit and talk a little bit about your past, destroying, going through the dark night, the void, as they like to say. A lot of Jungian knowledge here coming out. And then how do we actually, build our new persona and we stay consistent with that? And we're still working towards that. So we're going to go through everything today. A lot of the time people think that you need to add more knowledge. You need to add more people. You need to add more discipline, more followers, more 3D things, more money, to yourself, to your own, persona, to your avatar, whatever you want to call it. Essentially, you don't need to always become something more. Maybe you need to become something less. Did you ever think of that? You need to become someone that is less. And that means that you need to allow an old version of you to die, to destroy your old version. And we're going to talk about that, why it's so terrifying and why it happens, why the universe creates this opportunity for you to dismantle an older version of yourself. We can look at nature and see that the skin of the snake is shedding, it has to shed, it has to destroy itself, it has to grow out of it. And essentially there's a new skin that is being kind of emerged, and think of yourself like a phoenix. A phoenix comes right through the ashes. It has to be destroyed in order for it to actually be built again. Now, why does this thing happen? A lot of people are going to ask why. And if this is happening to you, please leave a comment below and like this video, and let us know that you are also changing your life. You're also making a new persona, working on a new persona in your life. Now, why does this happen? This happens because maybe, motorbike, whatever. Essentially, what is happening in your life is that you have built from a non-foundational level. You have built something that is not aligned from a soulful level. And maybe you went through a spiritual awakening and then you understood and all the cards kind of like showed themselves to you. And this happened to me. I thought I wanted to be a designer and live a life, meet a wife, and, get a 9-to-5 and maybe, progress, maybe manage some people, and that's it. And, and skibbity skedaddle, happy family, happy life, happy wife, happy everything. But no, I got fired after 2-3 years of working. I worked in high tech before, and then I worked in design. I went to study design 4 years and everything in the US. And then I did so much. I sacrificed so much. And I totally understand if you have sacrificed so much yourself in order to be in the place where you have to let that personality go. And it hurt me. It hurt your ego. And you have to let the ego die. You have to let the ego stay away. And again, we're going to speak on why this happens, because a lot of the time people don't understand why this is happening. The reason it happens again is that you start to awaken and you start to see that essentially you were meant for more. You were meant to lead. You were meant to do something that you were meant to lead. You are meant to do something that is more spiritual. You are meant to do something that is more spiritually aligned. Maybe it's more entrepreneurial. Maybe you're meant to be a musician. Maybe you're meant to be an actor, an actress. Maybe you're meant for something that is way more aligned than and puts you maybe in fame even. Maybe you're meant to open and share your message on a YouTube channel. So the universe is going to do everything that it can to get you off of the old 9-to-5, old kind of 3D jobs and block you from them for a while and maybe get you, just basic needs, whatever you need. You go through the dark night, you go through this void, you listen to yourself, you start to say goodbye to a lot of people that are not in alignment with you anymore, like old friends from high school, friends from elementary school, even family members that are not in alignment with you anymore. Now, I'm super passionate about this issue because it is happening to me right now. Like, I went through the dark night, I went through the void. I had to build a new persona multiple times, actually. Like, I thought I was going to be just a spiritual person, just a spiritual entrepreneur, for instance. And then I was like, no, wait, I can actually write music. I never knew. Sorry, I'm super sweating right now because it's so hot and humid. Bear with me. However, it's been tough because then I was like, oh, I can play the piano. I can actually write melodies. They just keep coming to me. And I never had that ability before. After I spiritually awakened and I got fired from a 9-to-5 and I had to come back to my home country and then figured out that I can write music. I want to be a musician. So I don't want to be a spiritual entrepreneur anymore. And now I'm building actually a startup as well that has to do with something spiritual, but is a little bit more techie, more related to people, to connection. So on the back of it, on the basis of it, it is very much spiritually aligned because I want to lead. My soul has chosen to lead. My soul has chosen to share a lot of messages and to do that also through music and through talking and through speaking and through doing all of these things. Now, I do believe that you are probably the same. If you're watching this video thus far, hit a like and hit a subscribe because I'll be sharing more messages like this that align to who you are and who you're meant to be. And it really is interesting to see that some people are meant to go through this void and to find themselves. Now let's talk about the void a little bit. Since the void is all about finding yourself, listening to yourself, cutting out the noise. That is what the void is all about. Cutting out the noise. Can you cut out the noise, the external world, even, some of your family that you have to let go of and be like, you know what? No, I want to listen to myself. I'm going through my own thing. I have to be in solitude to do that. I need to hear, the universe's voice. I need to hear God's voice. Whoever you believe in, you need to listen and you need to be in tune with yourself in order for you to figure out what it is that is important for you in life. And that is how you get to the truth. And that is how you see the truth. And that is how you understand and you see the light within. That is how you see the light within. And you start to see how your power, you're meant for more. You're meant for more strength, more power, more in this life, more abundance. Your abundance mindset. You start stripping away limiting beliefs suddenly, and you're starting to go to self-help and spirituality and reading books and all that stuff. And you're like, now I have the time to build a new persona, and I'm starting to take the steps, those small steps. Whether it's playing the piano, opening a phone and start, taking your phone, start sharing some messages online, opening a TikTok or YouTube, whatever that is. So leave a comment below. Let us know if you're going through the dark night and how it has been for you. If you have been in solitude, essentially. If you have been in solitude, let us know, because a lot of the people that are, if you identify yourself as awakened or like a starseed or whatever, a light worker, a lot of the times we get to be in solitude, and that kind of sucks, right? And so, I wish we could meet everyone all together and just, talk about these things. So at least online we can do so. How do you know that you have the answer to this new persona and you're building this new persona, how do you know that it's something that is foundational, right? Something that you can build off top and you don't have to, remove again and start again. Maybe you will. Maybe that's how your career is going to look like. We don't know. But the truth is does it feel aligned? Does it feel good? Does it feel like play to you? It doesn't feel like work for you. That's how you know that you found and you're tapping into a vocation. You're tapping into a field here that is actually aligned with who you're meant to be. It could be music, it could be acting, it could be singing, it could be jewelry, cooking, handwork, whatever that is, all right? Speaking, talking, sharing, channeling, tarot, whatever that is, all right? It could be finance. It doesn't matter as long as it is aligned with your soul. It is aligned with your soul. It feels like it aligns. It feels like it aligns with yourself. And it feels like it's like play. And right now it feels good. Maybe in a year you're gonna, scratch that and maybe change it a little bit. Maybe you're gonna tweak it a little bit. But that's good. That means that there's energy there. And I always say to people, and some of my clients as well, is that you got to follow the energy. You got to follow the energy. You got to follow and say, you know what? The energy here is showing me that there's a lot going on. All right. There's a lot going on right here. I see a lot of opportunities rise up from this thing. I see a lot of viewers. I see a lot of followers, maybe not in the beginning, but in the, fairly enough for the beginning, I see a lot happening, right? I see a lot of business meetings for this venture that I'm doing for this business. It could be a spiritual business as well. There's a lot of spiritual businesses happening right now. It could be an Etsy shop, it could be whatever. Shopify, whatever you want. You need to make ends meet, right? For me, it was also t-shirts, making t-shirts. Very interesting stuff right here. It could be fashion as well.